And I see a lot of new faces today, and that's a good thing because today is the right time for people to say, where do I start? Because that's what we're going to talk about. Um, and before I get started, does anybody have any questions on general things? Anybody? Let me move to my second page, see if there's any hands raised or people raising the reaction button. Okay. Where do you start with your SEO? And we are recording, so if anybody doesn't want to have their face on Zoom or on this recording, which will also be posted in my stream, then just turn your camera off, but stay with us. Okay. For all of you new people, I am Tom Garrison, the administrator for SEO for Small Business in Alignable. And I've been doing this for about 25 years, just to give you a little background. And my co-host is Arthur Moorhead, and it looks like he is a little under the weather today, but he might be poking his head in, or at least have something to say every once in a while. So you'll hear his voice every so often. I'm going to guess that most of you have your website already put up. Is there anybody here who is in the stages of building a site or is just considering building a site? Anybody? So you all got a site already prepared. Well, that'll make it simple. Simple to say, it's more difficult that way. The best time to do your SEO is before you've even designed the thing. And so everybody understands, SEO is all about the text on your page. It isn't about images, it's not about your business name, it's not about logos. SEO is just about the text on the page. When the bots come from the search engines to find out what's on each of the pages of your website, they're looking at the text. That's all they can see. They don't care about images other than the fact that they want to know if there's keyword stuffing. Something I won't deal with right now, but if you're new enough, you don't know how to do that anyway. So they're looking at images as far as how big they are, that sort of thing. And they can tell just by the code in the page, how fast the page loads, what it's about. So the SEO is making sure the search engines see the information that you want them to see so that they understand this page is about blah, blah, blah. Got that? Everybody made notes because it happens on every page. And every page of every website is different. It has different wow, can't move my mouth today. Different content. Your H1 tag that describes the most important thing on the page, that is different with each page. The title is different with each page. The description is different. When you have those changes, your SEO is going to change. So it isn't a matter of just take this and move it to the next page. The best you can hope for is take this process and apply it to the other pages. There is no step-by-step follow these instructions and you'll get to the top of the search engines. And I see somebody is asking a question in the chat. Everybody is muted. That keeps the feedback from coming in to the meeting and allows us to be able to concentrate on one person at a time. So if you want to say something, if you have a question, anything like that, just simply click on the reactions button and hit the hand raise, or you can just raise your hand and I'll see it if you've got your camera on. Still got a few people coming in, so we're up to 33. That's a good number. And moving right along, where I was beginning with the folks that are just joining, is SEO is all about the text on your page. Make sure that you are applying that SEO so that that text reads well to the search engines. Now, where I left off was the fact that the search engines come to the page and they look at that code. They don't see images, they don't care about the images, they can't read video. So if you have those things and you're expecting something from the images or from the videos, you can't get that. The most you're going to hope for from the video is that people see it and that they will gain some information, but it's not helping you in SEO. There are ways that you can make that work, but that becomes pretty involved. For the general population, and those of you who are fairly new, don't worry about trying to figure out how to get the search engines to look at a video, because they won't do that. But there are other things that you can do with it. So, like I was saying, there's no step-by-step process that's going to guarantee that you hit page 1 for whatever that you want. SEO is an experiment. All the people who've been here before have heard me say that many, many times, and I keep repeating it because every time that you touch one page and one thing about SEO, it's an experiment, and as you make a change, you're going, this should work. That's exactly what a professor does when he's running experiments, because there's no way to know for sure. We don't own the search engines. We can't give the search engines exactly what they want just for that reason, because if the search engines divulge exactly what they need from your page, then it's not only a lot of information out there, but then everybody would be at the top of the page 1. So search engines are like, nope, we're not going to tell you anything about our algorithms. You have to figure that out. That's why it's such a process of not really guessing. It's actually making an intelligent guess to see if that particular change in the SEO will work best for you. So at the top of your list, it should be, okay, somebody decided they're going to share. Let's stop the meeting and see what's going on here. Oops. Was that an oops, Diana? Sorry, what was that? Okay. Okay. So when you've already got your sites created. So the first thing that you want to do is work on the title of the page. What is that page about? Don't worry about writing all the copy first, because your copy is going to come from what is this page about? And you should have been making notes as you're developing the site or preparing to develop the site. Have some sort of a wireframe so that you can look and see, okay, here's what I want this page to be about. And then you go to the next page and do the same thing. I want this page to be about this. A quick note about your home page. Your home page is usually about more than one subject. If you want your pages to be able to get to a top page 1 SERP, which is a search engine results page, if you want people to find you, make each page one subject. The more subjects you have on a page, the more difficult it is to attain that page 1, because it's about too many things. Steve, let me unmute you and you go right ahead. Go ahead, Steve. You have to click your unmute yourself on that side.
Sorry about that. So if we want to target each page to be about one thing, so what do we do the home page as? Do we target all of them pages?
That's why the home page is difficult. You're not going to find that, let me back that up. When you do a search for pretty much anything, go through that first page of lists of results and click on a few of those. What page do you get to? Generally speaking, it's not the home page. Does that make sense, Steve? So don't plan on your home page attaining that page 1 position. It could, it just depends on how convoluted the page is.
So you really don't need to have the homepage have all of the inner pages. You can make it to be more direct.
Generally, your homepage, and like Arthur usually says, it's kind of like a small directory for your website.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah. So your homepage is, what are you going to find in this site? Well, I have this and I have that, and I've also got this and this.
Gotcha. So pretty much the titles for each direct page should go on your homepage.
Well, the titles can, but you don't necessarily have to. Generally speaking, you're saying, okay, this page has blah, blah, and that could be the title, and you link that to the actual page. That's fine. If you did it a different way and just said, here's I've got these subjects,
Gotcha.
here are 4 or 5 subjects, click on that box or whatever.
So, most of the time when I'll build a website or something, or I'm doing mine, I'll have home as the title and information as a title, or we don't want that.
No. Always remember that people do not search one single word. They
So
search
are the tabs for that page the actual title?
Yep.
So when we do tabs, we want them tabs to be informational.
Well, yes, the tab, instead of saying home, it should be, what is your site all about? So tell me what your site's about.
Put that on a tab.
You tell me, what is that site all about?
Well, I don't know. It could be anything. It could be selling garlic.
Okay. So the homepage would say selling garlic. And there's all kinds of articles about how to sell different kinds of garlic within the site.
So the next page would be information about our company.
You can have that on an About Us page. You can have that wherever you want.
So there's where my point is. Should it be about us, or should it be the title with the information?
No, the About Us, the information about everything is going to break down to individual. Let's go back to the garlic example. The homepage is saying selling garlic. So you have a method to sell all these different types of garlic. So on the homepage, it's selling garlic. And then you would have your company name someplace on the page and that sort of thing. Don't worry about putting your company name in the text, in the title, or in areas that you think would help the search engines. That's not going to help the search engine. Nobody knows your business name. So it's garlic selling, or selling garlic on the homepage. And then an internal page would be there. One of them would be about us, one would be a contact page. And then maybe you have.
So there's my point. Them tabs can be that. They don't have to be the title.
Yeah, you're going to have your About Us, your services, testimonials.
Yeah.
It's you got to think of it like an index.
So the next thing is the title to the page, and the SEO goes in and looks for that, not the actual tab. That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
The title appears in the tab, but you're working on the code. You're working on the title itself within your platform, and then that appears in the tab. Oh, can't deal with that one right now. So then once you've got the title down, you're going to go to the description of that page. So the description will be the second one. Title, description. What you're doing is making sure that you're telling people about what's on this page.
I hadn't had the opportunity to touch base with you again after all that mess.
So once you've got your title and description, depends on your platform. Some platforms still have a space for all of your keywords. That's good to have, even though you will hear from a lot of entities that keywords terms or keyword list in a page is bad. It's not. Google just doesn't care about it. Other search engines mandate it. So if you have a spot that you can include keyword terms for that page, include them. Mansoor, go ahead. Let me unmute you here. You have to unmute your side now.
Yeah. So how many tags can we put on a page?
If we're talking about meta tags, you won't do it specifically. It's in the code of the page. In other words, if you view the source, let me give you an example here.
Mhm.
I'll just pick something. Here we go. Well, I could just go here. This is easiest. In your, wait, you didn't see me do that. I'll go back here. When you go to a specific page of a website, you can do a right click and then click on View Page.
Mhm.
This allows you to see all the code that'll drive you crazy and you have no idea what it's saying, but there are 2 or 3, maybe 5 things that you are looking for that you can understand. One of them would be the title. And as you look down the left side here, you come down, here's my title.
Mhm.
That's generated by the platform that you're using, but you type it in when you're creating the article itself.
Mhm.
The article, the post, whatever that you want to call that. So this appears once you've made a title on that page and saved it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Then when you go down further, you have more scripts. You're also looking for, go back up here, description. This is a meta tag and it's the description. You can see that right there in the tag, description. And then it's saying content. So this content is what you type for the description for that page inside your platform. But you won't be touching any of this code. It appears when the platform sees that you've saved that page. Does that make sense?
So basically what I'm understanding is,
Okay.
like over here, meta name description, that is coming from the tag, but then whatever I'm writing, that is where I can put my tags into, right? Or any keywords, is that,
No.
no?
If in your platform it allows you to put a bunch of keyword terms for that page in there, then do that.
Oh, okay.
WordPress, for the most part, as far as I've seen recently, unless Arthur's got something else, it does not have the keyword field anymore. Now,
Mhm.
Joomla still does, so you can add a bunch of keywords, but not in WordPress.
So that's what was my question. So let's say it has that available. So
Mhm.
how many keywords should I be putting in there?
Well,
10, 20, 100?
technically, you can put in as many as you want. However,
Mhm.
only put in the ones that are highly relevant for that one page.
Okay, okay, okay. Good. Yeah.
Every time that you touch any SEO, it's
Mhm.
for the one page. Does that make sense?
Sure. Tom, just one little thing. So can you show me, like we went to description. So at what point, let's say I can add the tags to it or the keywords to it. So at what point after, as well as a classroom, I will be adding the tags, and would I separate them by commas? Is that the
Yes.
idea?
Yes. When you write in a keyword term
Mhm.
and it with a comma and then go to your next term. The last one, put a period after it.
Okay, so that would be like as well as a classroom period, and then I can start inserting my keywords, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Yeah,
And you will see in your you're using WordPress, correct?
um, I am using WordPress, yes.
Okay. And are you using a plugin called Yoast?
That I won't know honestly because I don't manage that website myself.
Okay.
So it's somebody else, a third party, they do it. Um, and I know that website is in WordPress. So
Okay.
I'll have to ask them about it.
Yeah, they should have an SEO plugin like Rake Math or Yoast,
Yeah.
all in one SEO. You know, those are what are used to list your keywords and stuff like that.
As a matter of fact, I have two websites. One is somebody else is hosting, And the one I have a VA in Bangladesh who takes care of it, and that is on Teachable's platform. So I don't know Teachable uses WordPress or not. That I'm sure it's not WordPress, but it is on like the platforms like Thinkific or Podia or Teachable. They have their own platform and it's not WordPress. So I'll have to go and check one of those pages. That might have this facility. But the one that is on the WordPress, that is handled by somebody in India. So I really don't know how they do it.
Okay. But that's in the one that seems to be causing a little bit of a hiccup for you is just the keywords.
Mhm.
Chances are with WordPress, you're not going to be able to put in a bunch of keywords, not in the tags. You can put them into the text of the page so that it makes sense. You don't ever want to put a keyword term into the page unless it's highly relevant to that page.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a plugin called Meta Tag Manager that will, if you really necessarily want to use the meta tag or meta keyword, there's a plugin you could use to install that. That'll help you. I mean,
Thank you
but
very much. So
yeah,
that would also go back in the backend and on the code. It would work, or I can do it on the page,
No,
You
that
could-
front
plugin,
end.
that plugin makes code appear in the source that we're seeing now. This
Oh, okay.
gobbledygook stuff here on the screen.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks
Sure.
a lot.
Steve, you had a question. Go ahead.
Can I see you rather than this screen?
Sure. Ta-da.
Thanks. That's all.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? We're getting a little bit technical, so I'm glad that we cleared that up. So as you're going down through the code on the page, as you're going down the page itself for what you see as you're using the page editor, the next thing that you're going to do is look for where you're going to put your content. Now, as I was saying at the beginning of the meeting, before you type your content, and I'm going to ask this question looking for hands, has anybody researched their keyword terms they are considering? 1, 2, okay, 3. Anybody else? Maureen has also done it. Okay, good. Anybody else? And Leo, oh, you, okay. Leonella apparently knows how to do that as well. Okay, good. So when you've done the research for your keyword terms, that allows you to see how many people are searching those terms. The worst thing that you can do is say, I already know all my terms. I don't need to research. If you think that you know your keyword terms, you still need to do the research. Find out how many people are searching those terms, because if you're just absolutely certain, you're adamant that you know the correct terms because it's your business, search anyway, because chances are you might find that at least one of the terms, maybe several of them, have between 0 and 10 searches a month. Now you will scratch your head and you'll go, I don't get it. Why don't people look for that? I know they're looking for my business. Yes, they're looking for what you do, but they're not necessarily looking for the way that you expect them to search. So your keyword search is imperative. That's more important than any part of SEO, because you need to know what people are searching in order to put your keyword terms into the page. Does that all make sense? Anybody have any questions to that point? Because I know there's a bunch involved in that. Okay, so don't see any questions, don't see any hands anywhere. All right. So you've got your title, you have your description. And now you've done the research. Let's just assume that you've done the research to find that those best keyword terms. And for the page you're working on, you have done the research, and now you know what term should be the most important for that particular page, for that particular article. That article, you want to have, let's go back to, Steve said selling garlic. So in an H1 tag, now H1 is something that it's technical, but it's what you can do in your editor. So in your editor, you have paragraph, you've got fonts, you've got colors, you've got all these different things. But usually in the pull down of paragraph, you can select different headings. You can select a different size font. What I'm talking about is the headings. Now you have headings that go from H1, which is the largest and should be used only once on any single page, and it goes all the way down to H6. H1 is the largest, H6 is the smallest. H1 is the most important term on the page. H6 is the least important. So, if you notice that I slow down when I'm getting to something that's really important. Those are the things that you want to make notes of. When you're looking at your important term, going back again to selling garlic. So I'd put in my editor, I would type in selling garlic, center it, and make sure that that I've selected the H1 tag under paragraph in your editor. That allows you to say, okay, great, now I've got that far. I know that this page is going to be about selling garlic. For the home page, you can still have that selling garlic. On the other pages, you would have more specific terms. So stop for just a second. Steve, go ahead.
So I didn't know that about those, but I'm a designer and I've designed hundreds of things. And I'm looking for the way that it looks page. Not so much that H1 tags are part of the home page. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't know that I want H1 being a part of the home page because it's ugly. So is there a way to hide that?
You don't ever want to hide the H1 tag.
So just use that
You're-
headline as the H1 tag always?
Are you using WordPress?
Sure, whatever program.
Yeah, we should be able to adjust the font size of your H1 tag.
Yes.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
you're-
So the H1 tag, you can adjust the size of the font.
Sure.
I thought it was an actual font size. And you know what I mean?
Depends.
Well, it depends on your theme setting.
Yeah.
If you're using WordPress.
So it's
Yeah, you-
actually just an importance thing, not a
Yes.
actual script thing, right?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Thanks.
Excuse me. Went down the wrong way. So the H1 is the most important thing on the page. You want to have that H1 there. Excuse me. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Hi, I was wondering, since we were talking about H1s and hiding them and not hiding them, if you're working on WordPress and you've got a page that you've titled, and WordPress lets you hide the title of a page sometimes, is that going to hurt your SEO?
Good question.
The issue with hiding that H1 is, are you hiding it from the search engines, or are you just hiding it from visitors?
Just making it invisible from the, if you're looking at the front end of the website, you just don't see the word. Like if you're using home as the title of the page, which we just discussed, you shouldn't. And you want to hide that so that when someone goes to the home page, they don't see this big title that says home, but it still shows up in the in the code, in the HTML. Is that okay, or does hiding it from the front end hurt your
fastest-
SEO?
The fastest way to answer that, because generally speaking, if you're hiding, sorry, if
Okay.
you're hiding that H1, it's going to be hidden from the search engines.
Okay.
So look at the source. Haven't had a bout like that ever. Look at the source code and see if you see the H1 tag in that source code. Do you know
Yeah.
how to, do you know how to do that?
Yep. I can change the view from,
Okay.
yeah,
And
I can't remember what they call it, but I can change view. Yeah.
Well, if you're on the front end of the site, looking at page source,
Oh
will
yeah, I could do that. That would probably be easier.
and then search depending on well, you should be able to search in either Chrome or Firefox.
Yeah.
And you can search, just type in H1, and it'll go
Hmm.
to wherever the H1 is found. And if it's not found, it's going to tell you.
Okay.
So I know that in Joomla, you can hide the title because what the title is on the page. You don't want to change that, but I don't want the search engines to see home. I want them to see
Yeah.
SEO specialist. So I
Right.
can type in what heading I want to use instead of home.
I think it's especially tricky on the homepage because,
Yes.
you know, if you're, when I'm using WordPress and I use the title of the page, it's going to put it in a particular spot. But if I want to do a banner image with the title over that banner and position it a certain way, you know, that's when I would want to hide the title of the page from the public, but not from search engines.
And that is critical. So it's one of those, make sure that if you are selecting to hide it, that it doesn't technically really hide it from the search engines. And
Yeah.
source
What if if it does?
then you need to go back and look and say, okay, it's the home page. What's the home page about? In
Yeah.
general,
Like,
what's the
so for example, I'm working on a site right now that we have the name of the business in the banner, over the banner image at the top of the homepage, and that's in H1.
hmm that I would hide
You would,
because
you,
it's of no value. That H1 is not, the name of the company isn't what the site is about. So yeah, that H1 tag or being around the name, there's two things that are going on. If you
Yeah.
use that H1 tag on something that is not searched, because the name of the company, unless it's really popular, is not going to
right.
be searched. So let's just say you left it. Is that going to hurt the homepage SEO? If you've
Yeah.
got 4 or 5 other things going on, like other subjects on that page, it's already taken its toll.
Okay.
Make sense?
So I shouldn't stress over the homepage. Like,
Generally speaking,
yeah.
when you're trying to get a homepage into the top of the search engine, it's like
Right.
you're pushing a huge rock
Right.
straight up.
Sisyphean. Right.
Generally, what I do on pages like, that is I'll make the company name an H2 tag
Mhm.
and then put the page title as the H1.
But you're hiding the page title?
No,
No. Well, that,
no, I don't ever hide page title.
I'm gonna have to think about this. Because the client is a nonprofit, and what they do is kind of complicated. Like, there is no, I could probably come up with a tagline, but they're very particular about the words they use. So some of the keyword terms I was hoping I could include in their site, it's just probably not an option. So all right,
I find that when I come across sites like that that have the owner is saying it needs to be blah 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 blah.
right.
So you have to listen to them, and you're going to give them what they want. And in your mind, you're going, but I need to have this on the page. Don't argue with them. Give
Yeah.
them what they want. Put what's supposed to be there into the page. Someplace that the search engines are going to see it, and it's not harming anything. It's not getting in the way of what they want on that page.
They have multiple pages that talk about their vision, their mission, their leadership. So there is like, I don't know if it's the perfect keyword search terms, but there are multiple pages that can help them
And that was
get visible.
that's the other thing, and I think you've heard us talk about this before in some of the other meetings. Use your internal pages
Yeah,
get to the top of the search engines. And the
Great.
bottom line is you don't care what page gets into the top of the search engines.
right.
As long as one does, for whatever term, that's going to get you traffic. It's also going to help the other pages of your site. So when you start working on them and you try to push that one into a page one, you already have one. Now you're going to have two, hopefully.
I mean,
Maybe
wouldn't
3 or 4.
wouldn't most businesses put the name of their business on their homepage, like near the top?
Yes, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in an H1 tag.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can always take an H2 and then
Yeah.
just make it the same size as an H1, but
Yeah.
you're making it an H2 tag.
Yeah.
Position it where you
Okay.
want, and then make
Yeah.
H1 something
Yeah.
different.
All right. I gotcha. Thank you.
Now, what's going to rank your pages is how your keyword density is on your pages.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean,
That-
because
That's a little bit of a lost cause with this particular project, but the client is so nice and I really like what they're doing. And I think I was able to help them from where they were, even though it's not a perfect resolution.
Okay. I know what you're dealing with. I've had to deal with similar, and it can
Yeah.
be tricky. It's just
And I mean, one thing I did for them that I think is a really good step in the right direction was I made a Google business profile. They didn't have one.
oh, there you go.
nice.
So that's a good step.
That's real
I-
important right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I learned that from coming here. So thank you.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to get to Ashley in just a second. I want to answer Bonnie's question. Go ahead, Bonnie. You have to unmute yourself there. Okay.
It's just a simple question, which I'm a little confused about. If your page is already done
Mhm.
and you do have your headings larger, when you go into the source page, do you have to put in H1 because it's larger? Or how do you do that? Or do you just keep it bold?
Well, first of all, you don't need to be in the source code for just adding an H1 tag. You do that through your editor. So that's in the
Okay, I
back end
meant
as you're
that.
typing the text.
Okay,
So the H1 can be whatever size that you want. Usually it's much larger. I have seen templates that make it smaller than an H2 though. So it doesn't, there is no rhyme or reason that someone does something, but H1's the most important. If you want it to be the smallest thing on the page, that's up to you.
so should you still put it in there even if the text is already large?
Let me get back to the reason for the H1. What reason would you not use the H1 on your page?
Only because if the page is already done.
But okay, think of the page that you're in your example, and does the title of that page already have a heading or no?
Yes,
Sorry, you got cut off. Try it again.
yes,
Okay, so there is a title on the page and it does have a heading, correct? Do you know what heading is on that title?
yeah, it says,
No, what kind of a heading? Was it an H2, H3?
oh, I don't know, it was all
That depends
But
on the
by the
theme.
web developer. It's put in by the web developer.
Are you using
Probably
WordPress?
about 12 or 14 texts. And then the headings look like they're about 18 bold. And then the heading just says bio.
Okay, in your article, if you went into, and you're using WordPress, correct? Okay, so if you went into your WordPress article that you're talking about, highlighted that text that you're talking about. It's going to show you whether it's an H2 or H1 or whatever kind of heading it's been assigned. And you want to change that to H1. That's all you need to do. It isn't, there's no code that you have to apply yourself. The editor is going to do that for you. So in the source code of the page, it's just going to tell you whether you did it correctly and saved it or not. But your editor is where you want to change that. And you don't even need to know how it's going to do it. It's just the fact that,
I'm
okay,
gonna
I want
hire
this-
you.
instead of being a paragraph and certain size text, I want that to be a heading, an H1 heading. And that'll take care of it. Okay, I'm going to go back over here to Ashley. And let's see, Ashley, are you able to come online even with just your microphone?
Hi there.
There she is. Hi there. Okay, so what part of a visual example did you want?
So I'm very, very green in all of this. I've had someone doing it for me for quite some time for my business, and paying a hefty amount for it to be done. But I feel like I need to learn more about it and kind of get into the meat of it myself. So, you know, the website set up, SEO has been working great. Just restructuring the budget a little bit. So if I'm to go in and kind of start taking over this whole SEO thing, I'm like, H1, what is that? I'm not even 100% sure. So I just, sometimes it's helpful to see what you're saying. Like if you kind of give us an example page where you're like, this is where you put your H1 and this is why, and you don't put these words in there, you put this word in there. That's what what I'm talking about. To, I guess I'm more of a visual learner, I suppose. So I'm like, all right,
That's
let
true.
me see
So,
what
so you brought up some very good points. First of all, because we've been doing this for so long, I love it when there are absolutely green people in our meetings because they remind me to dumb it down as much as possible so
Thanks.
that everybody understands and we can all get on that same page. So never think, especially for all the new people, never think that you can't ask a question because you don't know enough about SEO. We're geared to, once in a while, we'll have somebody in who really knows what they're doing, but generally speaking, our group is, we don't know a darn thing about it. So walk me through it gently. Now,
Can I share my screen and show where the H tags are?
yeah, I was just going to ask you for that. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
And that's Arthur, everybody. He's going to show us WordPress so we can see exactly what's going on. Every WordPress site that I can think of, I have to get into a customer site. So,
Okay, do you see my screen?
yep, I do.
Okay, your H tags on WordPress are right here.
First, type something. Hello, everybody. Yeah, help.
I'm a slow typer.
Okay, so
Okay.
you highlight that.
Well, with WordPress, you don't even really need to highlight it. You
Okay.
can. You just click on it, and now you have an H1. But sometimes, depending on your theme, sometimes the H1 is your title. So when you add a title to your post or page, it's automatically an H1. But that depends on your theme. Some themes, it's an H2, and you don't need to have an H1 in the format or in the article. You could just use an H. So this is where all your H tags are. You have your paragraph, and then you have H1 through 6. Generally, the H2 tag is a subtitle, and your H3 would be like for the title of a paragraph. The H4 would be for a phrase, something that you want to focus on. And with WordPress, that's where all your H tags are. So you really don't have to worry about the source code.
Okay, so I'm seeing this on the back end where you're doing it now. What does it look like on the front end? Does it say hello all somewhere on that page?
Well,
Or
what
is
you
that
do,
hidden kind of in the background, or what I'm does that
Well,
make sense what I'm asking?
well, I'm gonna save this as a draft. Then I'm gonna hit preview. And it's gonna take me to the front end. And then right here is my title. Now this is a templated page.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the title, hello. And then right here is the H2, hello all.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean how yours is going to look. This is the way Art has his set up.
Right,
Got it.
yeah. I mean, the templates, I mean, that's usually ran by your team or unless you're using, now this is the classic editor. Now Gutenberg on the other editor is a bit different, but it's basically the same thing. You still have, I mean, WordPress is only going to give you these tags for your headings, whether you're using Gutenberg or if you're using the classic editor, either one. Okay.
All right.
Now, Ashley, did you have other questions? I know that you
Oh, I'm sure I probably have a million,
H1.
but I'm just listening and learning, So thank you.
Okay. And Bonnie, I think that answered what your question as well. Isn't that true? Okay. So there's a good visual. Moving back to questions. Leonella, you had a question?
Yes, I do. Hi.
Hi there.
So my question is, what is the proper, I guess, format for the call to action? Like, should it be a heading font size or should it be like the paragraph setting? Because I feel like I've heard you can do either one, or does that even really matter?
You wouldn't, a call to action is not going to be an H1 tag. And the other tags you can use as many times as you want on the page. One time only for the H1. So you wouldn't waste it on a call to action. Unless that call to action is the most important thing on the page and the rest of the page is kind of just going along for the ride.
Okay. So
But-
there isn't a, so there's not like a preferred, because I have WordPress, so there's not like a standard, I guess, heading size for call to action.
Well, it depends on what your call to action is.
Yeah.
I mean, generally your page title or landing page title is what's going to bring people to your page. The call to action is just as it is. I mean, you can put a keyword within the call to action. You can use the H3 or the H4 as a title to the call to action, but using a sentence or paragraph with the H tag is not a good idea.
No.
Because your H tags are for title.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not made for sentences. They're not made for bolding text or things of that nature. A lot of times I see people will just bold a whole, they'll use the H tags to bold a paragraph, and that's not what they're for. If you want to bold a paragraph, you bold it with the bold setting.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions on that bit of those things that we've covered so far? Okay, Steve, go ahead.
I have a comment. Don't go in and just change things. Like you got a page there and you want to change the title. So you go to M1 and just click it and change things. Sometimes there's things in the background that you can mess up. So be really careful when you're doing that. You know what I'm saying?
If you're changing, excuse me.
Not as simple.
H1.
Not as simple as you're saying where you just click and go to M1 and change it. It can be more complicated. So you have to be careful what you're doing on the page.
Let's cover why that would be complicated. The reason it would be complicated is if the site had been up for a while and it
That's all.
had some traction. Because if it's got traction, in other words, maybe it's not on page 1. Maybe it doesn't have the full SEO. What is going on? Where is the page? Is it on page 3? Is it on page 10? Is it on page 100? Those make a difference. So if it's on a page that, I'd say if you're anywhere from page 10 and lower, be very careful about what you change and when you change it. Whether it's a heading or anything else for that matter. You want to go in and see, okay, it's at this point, so it's not anywhere close to where I want it, but it's not at page 100 either. So now you have to think really carefully about what you're going to change. Does that all make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, so I'm going to mispronounce your name, I'm sure, but I'm going to call on you Friedana? Did I get it right? Close enough. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself now. There you go.
Hi. I'm gonna go to the point because I usually tend to speak a lot. I have a website, and in that website, I have a store. I'm a jewelry designer. The kind of jewelry I make is indigenous, is colorful, is tribal, is Mexican. So when I see all the stuff you're talking about, I don't know anything. But since Ashley asked, and you said we're welcome to ask questions from zero, how do I find my keywords? This is why I told you what I do. Because for me, keyword would be Huichol, which is the tribe I come from, and that's how we make it. But if you go to one of the pages of my website is for necklaces. So my headline is necklaces. How could I change that? Or how can you ask about researching my keywords?
Yes.
Could you talk about that, please?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you. And in a roundabout way, we're going to run over to Google Keyword Planner. And if you guys have questions after you get out of the meeting, feel free to connect with me and ask whatever your heart's desire. Okay, so almost there. Keyword Planner for Google. And of course, that's who you're trying to appease, so it's best to use their keyword search tool. You can search any tool, any keyword that you want, any keyword term. So remember that just a single word is extremely rare for somebody to use as a search. So if you were to search for your necklaces, can you give me a keyword term that somebody might search? Or give me a term that you use in your site and you want to see if it's any good. You muted. For whatever reason, you got remuted. Try now.
Sorry, I use a lot the word Huichol, which is, as I told you before, a Mexican tribe. Is Huichol.
I don't like your chances of that. Wow. I'm amazed. Between
I
10,000
told
and
you.
100,000 people a month search that. Arthur, create me a site with that word. I don't care what we sell, but that's a good term.
Yeah, it's up 900% too.
I would never have thought that.
Yeah, year over year, it's up 900%.
Yeah.
And it's only a medium competition too.
If everybody looks at the fourth column, you can see the year over year change. Breadwork. Oh, no, I don't want that. There we go. So it's gone up 900% in the last year. Yes. And there's
It
already
costs 20% of that.
10,000.
No, of course not. My website doesn't work.
10,000 to 100,000 people per month search that term. So you need to treat that term very carefully. Is that term used in an H1 tag on any one page or more than one page?
One page.
Good. Is it used in an H1 tag, or is the term used in other pages?
Yes, when I explain my about
Mhm.
on the text.
And does that link to the page where the H1 with it is found?
No.
Do that.
Okay.
Having links in your text as well as your menu items is extremely good for SEO. When you're saying, I'm writing this text and it's about, here's my site is about blah, 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 and this thing in specific in my site, now you link to the page that is specifically about that subject.
Okay.
So you have two ways. You got the menu and you have text links. Those are great for your SEO. At any rate, it's a very good term. I would never be able to spell that again. H-U-I-C-H-O-L. Just wanted to see what I find on that page. Oh, there's your site.
No, that's not me. That's just the term I use on my site.
What's the name of your site? What's the URL?
My site is called Peyote. I'm terrible at spelling in English. I'm originally Mexican.
I can look at it. Peyote or coyote?
Peyote.
Peyote. So you're not in the first couple of pages.
No, no, I'm not. Maybe if you write Peyote Jewelry. Yeah, that bracelet is mine. If you go higher up, you see the gray bracelet on the bottom corner? That's me.
Great.
The gray one. That bracelet is mine. And that hand is mine. No, the top one. Higher?
Up above.
This one?
Yeah,
That
right
one,
there.
yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's good. The fact that you've got an image in the searches and it's coming up here, that's very good because
Click on the image.
then it brings you up and it tells you all about yours. And it says, okay,
Is it-
let's visit the site. So technically, you're on page
Is that your website?
No, I think she wrote a tutorial and she added my link or something.
Well, she's using
Yeah,
your
backlink.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
mine. You see, the one on top by Peyote Jewelry, that's mine too.
Yeah, and it even
The
has,
blue one on top.
it's got your name in there. Do you
Now
know this
click,
person?
click on the image now. Okay,
Yeah, that's me.
now click on the link there in the caption.
Oops. They get
That's my website.
very good.
That's what's called a backlink.
Excellent. I have a backlink.
Yeah, when people write about you and they post on their website and it links to your website, that's what's called a backlink. That is very good for SEO, providing that they have a good reputation. Their website has a good reputation.
Okay, thank you.
Did you build this site or did you have somebody build it?
No, I have someone build it, but then her and I had a disagreement. And we're not talking to each other anymore, so my website has been abandoned there. I have made a few sales.
Okay. I would suggest that you make sure all of the images are contained in your website. So that would be one thing that I would highly recommend for you to do.
That's a Etsy website, right?
Yes. Well, she used Etsy as you've seen it before. She's in Etsy, she's here, but now I'm trying to launch my own store. But I'm still on Etsy.
Okay.
And I just created my Google business profile, and I'm getting all customers to give me reviews.
Nice. You're doing it the right way.
You are definitely going about it the correct way, and connect with me after the meeting and we can go over some points that will also help you, especially if you're apparently, from what I'm hearing, you're moving away from Etsy and creating your own website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's chat after the meeting so I can give you a bunch more pointers. And
Thank you.
that way you'll be able to really rock and roll with your business.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Leonella, go right ahead.
Hi, well, I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of Veridania's question. You mentioned the text linking. Can you expand a little bit more about that? Like, how would I be able to do that?
Well, let's just say, let's go here. Let's just say that, and this person has done similar, although she is, this person is saying, here's the site that we just were in. But let's just say that, somewhere in here, solid bead fabric. So let's just say that there's a page about solid beads in somewhere else in your website. So you would, in your editor, you would highlight that solid bead in this page and create a link to the other page.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
okay. Yeah, that answers that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could do that.
Yeah, it's really simple. Just in your editor, you're just going to say, okay, I want to create a link. And it'll say, okay, what page do you want to link to? And if it's a good editor, it's going to pull up and say, okay, well, you've got these pages, select that page, and then your link is done.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Bonnie, go ahead. You need to unmute, Bonnie. There you go.
Okay. I wanted to say that I use a web developer and I think he's very good and he's very reasonable. If Viviana wants interested, I will get his link and put it in the chat, but I have to find it first. Is she interested or is anybody else interested?
Well, let me stop you at that point.
Okay.
Make sure that you all understand that Arthur and I have been doing this for nearly 25 years.
Oh, okay. So then you should.
If you do need help with your website, if you want to hire somebody, there's two of us sitting right here and we can help you with that. But if you prefer to have another developer, that's also up to you. I just want to put it out there. Yes, we are for hire. Any other questions? Kay was asking, what is a backlink? It's not a bad question. It's just a link, and I think that Arthur covered that, but it's just a link coming from another website. A good backlink is coming from a similar website, or at least one with a lot of authority, a lot more authority than your own, which means it's been around for a long time. A perfect backlink would be if you're selling shoes, you're a mom and pop shoe store, and you posted a really good article in your site about shoes, and Nike found it. And they decided that is a great article, and they linked to it. That is a backlink that you couldn't possibly pay for, but it's worth its weight in gold because it's coming from Nike. They've got all the authority in the world. Google sees that and goes, oh, Nike linked to that page, and we didn't think it was that great. Well, you just went to the head of the class. You may not get to page one because of that one link, but it's most certainly going to help.
Yeah, you're gonna get better quality links if you have people linking to your site that is similar to what your site is. So if you're selling shoes, then a shoe manufacturer linking to your site is what you want. You wouldn't want somebody selling bubble gum linking to your shoes because it's irrelevant. And Google would look at that as, not anything of quality. So creating a linking structure with other similar, exchanging blog posts. Write a blog for another somebody who sells shoes. Write an article. That's what happened with Miss Diaz their website. Somebody wrote about her jewelry, and they posted it on their website, and they gave her leak juice by linking that image back to her website, and that's how it works.
And I was going to say, you thought gum doesn't have anything. It sure does. It's on the bottom of your shoe all the time. Come on, Arthur. You got to laugh at that.
Yeah. Kay's asking, do you pay for backlinks until someone with a bigger company picks you up? If somebody offers you backlinks for sale, they're probably not good backlinks. Buying backlinks is not a good idea, because generally they're links that are not relative to your site. And yes, you can build backlinks that way, but they won't last long. And then Google's smart enough to know what's relative and what isn't. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on, who's linking to your site, and that is something that's not what we're not going to go over here, but just got to be careful who you exchange links with.
Sia, did I pronounce that correctly? I saw you had your hand up. Did you get your question answered? Oh, I do have to. Sorry. Now try it. There you go. Wow, I see you talking, but your mic's not working.
Hi.
Oh, there you go.
I was just doing a thumbs up. I wasn't raising my hand. Was doing a thumbs up to what you were saying about the backlinks. I thought the thumbs up would show up in my message area, and it didn't.
We can't hear you. But it's really low volume. Try again.
What now?
It's a little louder, but
Wait a minute. Here, that'll work better.
that sounds like something.
I was just I was just giving a thumbs up. That's all.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
I thought it would show up in the chat, and it showed up on my picture. So yeah.
Well, actually, there is a thumb down there in the reaction instead of a hand. Down in the bottom of the bar, the reactions, there's a thumbs up.
I thought that's what I did.
Oh, it was a raised hand, but that's okay. Yeah, either one, that's fine. I caught you on an off day. You get a hand raised, and then your mic was behind you, and like I said,
Anyway,
it sounds
thank
like
you.
one of my days. Bonnie, I thought maybe you still had your hand up. Did you have another question? Your hand is up, but maybe you don't have another question. No? Okay, gotcha. Ashley, go right ahead.
Okay, can we hear it? Yes, there we go. Allowing person. There we go. All right, so backlinks. How do I know? Can I do a search to see if someone's backlinked to my page?
Yes.
Because you kind of happened upon it with the peyote jewelry, right? But if I wanted to be like, hey, who's linking to my page? How would I do that? How would I find that out?
There is a way to do that. We're getting off topic, but I can help you with that outside the meeting if you want to connect with me.
Okay.
Kind of get you up to speed a little bit. Unless Arthur's got a quick way that he wants to tell somebody to do it.
There's not really a quick way. I mean, you can, your backlinks, you have to have certain tools that you can find them. They'll tell you what's linking to your website.
And there's several different tools. I'd suggest a couple, at least 2 or 3, because it's good to make sure when you're using different tools, especially when you're dealing with SEO, looking at one and saying, that's gospel, that's wrong. I don't care who it is, because you need to check with other ones to see, does everybody seem to agree? If you're within just a couple of the same number, then I'd say, okay, you're pretty safe. But don't take just one, because sometimes, like Gmetrics, people will say, well, I went to Gmetrics and it says I've got 100% page speed. Yes, but that's the free version, and it only gives you page speed for a desktop. Nobody cares about the speed for a desktop. They're all going to be fast. So you need to find out mobile page speed, and in GTmetrix it's not going to tell you unless you pay for it. So there are tools out there like that, so I want you to just be aware. So any other questions? That sounds like we're in a wind-up place for this week's meeting. Next week we're going to have just networking, which means I want people to get used to who's in the group, get to know each other. That's the best way to network. Don't try to solicit, just talk to each other, get to know each other. Okay, so no other questions? Or you do have a question? Anybody? No? Well, thank you all then. Thank you for joining today. And I will see you next week, and the next week after that, and the next week after that. Thank you for joining. We'll see you guys.